by the players from Newbie. They won't be thinking too much about that today as they get themselves settled, I'm sure, gents, because we don't really have much on these two teams going head-to-head. There's not much out there, and that one game is kind of whatever.
Yeah, but they do know each other really well,
they
right?
Do,
sure,
they
haven't played,
play with
but
each other.
Yeah,
and
pubs.
They know each other, exactly.
They play each other all the time in pubs. They probably flame each other all the time in pubs as well, which, you know, we love.
I don't want to say too much,
cool,
but this guy does too. He's in there as well.
Sometimes.
A little
Depends
bit.
on my mood.
All right.
I've gotten better about it in the last few years. I've matured, I guess you could say. But yeah, they definitely are very familiar with each other, and it should turn out to we should see that, especially like in the draft, especially in like a lot of plays and stuff too. The way they set up, they're both going to be pretty prepared for each other. I was really happy to hear the roar that we heard from the crowd, right? Even for like Infamous coming out, kind of like new team, and they were actually really.
Everyone loves an underdog, and they are kind of the underdogs in this matchup already. Let's not beat around the bush, but Brian. One of the cool things that happened to me a few days ago was I spent some time with Samael. We were poring over stats and talking, you know, form and his brother and all sorts of other things. And he said to me, this stuck in my mind. It was so amazing. We started looking through the Infamous stats and we were like, hey, look, this. And he was like, do you know what? This Hector guy is a beast. And if Samael was saying that, I'm like, oh, wow, he really rates him. And I think you do too.
Yeah, he defines the entire playstyle for Infamous, and what they've had for success this tournament is basically a 4-protect-1. And the whole idea is that his timings dictate the entire pace of the game for the team. And I want to take us into a couple clips of really showing his playstyle in the mid to early game. That what it basically is a lot of carries will hold their TPs after farming to TP to their team if any fights in the mid game. Hector almost always TPs from farm to farm. And you're seeing in the early game, he goes from top lane to top shrine just to get an extra efficiency out of the neutral creeps. And it seems like such a small deal, but they know Infamous. If you watch their playstyle, it's just 4v5 for the first 15 to 20 minutes of the game. And when you watch the net worths, it is Hector at the top by almost double the net worth, and then it's the rest of Infamous on like almost 5th and 6th on the net worth. And you're seeing here, once he gets the Radiance, he then takes over all the bottom half of the farm and then proceeds to TP to the top half of the map to clear even more farm. This entire playstyle of Infamous revolves around the way he plays, and you just know what you're getting out of this player. And it may seem like an AFK pub style, but at the end of the day, he's made it to TI, and they're performing against some of the best teams. We saw them beat LGD in the group stage with this similar strategy, and it's all about Newbie, I think, attacking this idea that Hector's going to be playing by himself. And we talked about slowing down his timings and basically saying, Infamous, you're forced to fight us 4v5 for an extra 5 minutes in this game, and it should be no problem taking you down.
Some people would argue that that Newbie should focus on their own game. They shouldn't worry about the team. But do you feel that strongly that they actually have to have a plan for Hector?
I think that so far the teams that have played against Infamous have thought that. Right. And then they see a 30,000 net worth Wraith King at 35 minutes into the game with 940 GPM. They're like, wait a minute. We lost. You look at the net worths in that game that I showed you, it was so funny. You just see 35,000 net worth Wraith King, and the next is like 21,000 in the game, and that's just how they play.
That is, I mean, it is pretty insane. You do have to find some way to address it, but also, like you said, a lot of the teams here have been saying, stick to your style. Right. Don't worry about what they're going to do because we're better than that. We know how we play, and they're going to be playing with 4 people. So if you're playing your own strategy and they're playing man down, you could just run over them.
Let's turn our attention to Newbie. I mean, how did you rate their group stage? Because I felt like they were probably the biggest overperformers, weren't they?
Absolutely. I was incredibly impressed. I believe the whole group stage, they only lost a series outright 2-0 against Team Secret. And it's like, okay, fair enough. It's Team
Seems
Secret.
right.
Everyone else, they're able to at least draw the series with. And for these guys, it's very impressive. These are some old school players and some also old school panelists, right? You had this team where 3 of them, Aoi was involved in the Kiev major coverage, I was involved in the KL major coverage. CCNC, he was a TI panelist. They've sort of come back together, and they really are doing it under the Newbie moniker, and it's very impressive to watch. These are sort of players that have been passed around the region, tried out a lot of different compositions. Nothing's really sort of been able to sort of drive them into a position. As of recently, of course, we've got some past phenomenal stars at sort of the earlier TIs, but for this day and age, for these guys to find something that works together, it's remarkable to see. And in a region where a few months ago you're asking people about NA, it's EG and all the rest. No, it's EG and Newbie and all the rest now.
Gives Brian and Fogt a chance, a hope. But they might be able to return to a panel team.
Well, look at this. I've played with most of these players, Paul. Excuse me. I played with MSS. I played with Snaking, my boy the King. And then we even have Curtis, like you said, Owie.
So there's no footage in black and white that exists of those games. It was so long ago.
Yeah, and also look at them. They're all successful now that I'm not playing. So I guess we're finding the extra.
You rubbed off on them a little bit, maybe. Think about it that way instead.
You're digging your own hole. So let me bail you out. We'll go through a few of the players. We'll start with Yawar, and I want to bring up his brother as well, Samael. Many people obviously tune in. They're brand new to the International. Yawar is on Newbie, and Samael is on EG. And obviously they find themselves in different teams from the North American region. They go head-to-head with each other very infrequently, it has to be said. They have played each other in games, but never at TI. And that's what we're waiting for Hassan Bowl in the International. And it didn't happen last year. Could have happened in the upper bracket. Didn't. Newbie now need to win for that to happen and carry on. But what I wanted to bring up more about Yawar is that he's very much been in his brother's shadow for the last couple of years. I feel like in the group stages, he put down a marker. He said, no, I can play just as well. I can carry this team too.
Kind of becoming your own individual when you have a brother like Sumail for Yawar, I think is really difficult. And I think he's handled that whole dynamic of the way the community's almost flamed him, saying you'll never be as good as your brother, these types of things. And he's just he's a quiet guy. He's kind of sat back and said, I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to get better. 3 years ago, kind of an iffy Tier 2, Tier 3 NA player. And now you're seeing him at TI 2 years in a row, putting up a solid performance. I think he looks way better this year than last year. And it just shows how much hard work goes into it. And I think playing together with similar teammates, discussing the game, has a lot to do with it, like his ability to progress as a competitive player. Because a lot of it's the mindset, the strategy, the cohesiveness of a team aspect.
Yeah, I remember when we first started to see Yawar coming up in the pubs and everything, and we were all playing. We're all playing in the NA pubs, and people were very impressed with some of his farming patterns and stuff. So now that we're seeing him, like you said, develop on all that, he's really starting to find his best form, right? He's I think he had average 460 last hits or something across games. That's insane. Yeah. That type of farm, he's playing at absolute top form, and now you're looking at, damn, he's really bringing it to Sumail.
Yeah, highest average last hits during the group stage of any player, and highest average GPM as well, which is slightly blown out because of the out games and what have you. But but still, he's in the top 5 or top 10 for almost every stat you can dig out from the group stage on an individual player. So he's up there. He's doing it.
He really is, and you sort of looked at the day one, and this I think was the first LAN ever where you're watching sort of Yawar with Newbie, Samael with VG, and you're saying, well, this is the LAN, this is the time where Yawar, he is going to go further than his brother. Obviously, yesterday, then EG did beat Secret Sour. All right, okay. Samael is kind of cranking it back up to 11, but for the most part, there's absolutely every reason to believe that Yawar could certainly make the run here with Newbie.
One of the other players that's often been criticised, Brian, CCNC. He's been given a lot of grief over the last few years about being a bit of a flamer and maybe hard to play with and maybe not as high-skilled as he should be. I think he's had pretty much everything thrown at him. Another one answering the critics here because he's played fantastically well again in the group stage.
Absolutely. At the highest level, the players, they talk about other players. And a lot of times you hear about CCNC, you heard about his inability to win the mid lane. Right. He was like a solid mid-game player. He knew what to do. He played around the team. But he would almost always come out at some sort of disadvantage in the mid lane. And now I think that's been solved. I think he's come together as an early game skilled mid laner. He plays 1v1s all day.
All day.
And that's the dedication. They know their mistakes. They recognize their shortcomings, and they just bring them all together.
All right, good stuff. Thank you very much, guys. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, to get into game number 1.
Versus Game 1.
Newbie versus Infamous. We're over here to start talking picks, bans, key players, teams. Joined by Blitz, Lacoste. Lacoste, what's your first impression here coming into Newbie versus Infamous?
Both of these teams performed way better than anyone expected, I guess. And Infamous looking really good. As Brian pointed out, 4 protect 1. This is not what we usually see, not in this meta, creating a lot of space. And Newbie will have to address this problem. They can't just play their own game. They will need to get the early towers and try to take some of these creep camps from Hector, because this guy is actually a beast when he gets the free farm.
Yeah. Do you like the tools that Newbie have, Will, as far as matching up against Infamous?
I think so, because I feel like they should know each other pretty well. I'm sure they've scrimmed before this event. I think Newbie well, it just looked really bad against OG, but they can push a pace if they need to, and I feel like that's what you need to do to be successful against Infamous. We saw those 2 games that they played against OG. I don't think that any team, even if you think you're better at it, don't play to their strengths. Infamous is a very good late game team. Chris Luck and Hector, they are so good at finding farm.
The only thing Infamous needs to do is not lose the laning stage so hard, because they can be ran over so easily. We've seen one of those games where they lost in 15 minutes.
And that's the crazy thing with Infamous, is they've lost some of the biggest stomps of this tournament. You mentioned the 15-minute game. I think there's been several games of theirs in the group stage where people are like, oh yeah, you know, Infamous, that's the team from South America we expect to get dead last. Here they are, though, playing for a slot in the top 8, and they've had some amazing games, particularly when they go late game.
Yeah, I don't even know if Newbie's the favorite here, because Infamous, remember, this was the team that took first blood off of Vici. When Vici was looking unstoppable, Infamous absolutely smoked them.
Yeah, and something we've seen so far is every team that's dropped down to the lower bracket has actually lost. Both Virtus Pro as well as TNC. So there is something to be said for the momentum coming off of a win in the best of ones. Do you feel like that is something that's going to come into play here?
It could. I mean, if you look at how badly Newbie got smoked by OG, like that was a bodying for the ages. You saw the OKGG. I feel like that can do some mental damage to you. Whereas Infamous, even though they did start in the lower bracket, they're on a roll right now.
Now, we've seen no GGs, we've seen some other stuff, some Instagrams at the end of the games when Navi played. But OK GG, this is the first time that we saw that one. And they open up with Mag. I see that a lot of the teams, as tournament progresses, they are shifting towards this big team fight optics, as always, pretty much. You have this Enigmas, Tide Hunters.
And this is one of those pace-setting heroes like we talked about. Newbie needs to be a little bit more aggressive. We have seen them win these ultra late game situations like the game against Alliance, but I think against Infamous, all the games that I've seen, you don't want to get into these 60-minute clown fest where Hector pops out with 6 items. The best thing to do, I think, is just run at them, and Leshrac is proving to be one of the best heroes at doing so.
Yeah, especially in this scenario where they already have someone who can empower Hector. You have this steroid for him, and I would not be surprised if they just pick Hectors here. Phantom Assassin still in the pool, one of the best combos you can get with the Mag. Oh, I mean, he also invented kind of the build on these strength heroes. I love the little thing when he buys Belt of Giant Strength, extra little top of it after he gets Hand of Midas.
I'd like to see Tiny RSD picked up for Infamous. I feel like they play around these heroes very well. We saw Schofield Tiny just absolutely dominate in the group stage. But instead, they change things up a little bit, go for the Nyx.
That's a great pickup, actually, because of the Carapace, a lot of uncontrollable damage on side of Newbie. Great hero against Celeste. You are forcing him to get an early BKB, which he kind of does not like to go, because if the game drags, his BKB will be 5 seconds, and the mana burn will be maxed out, so that's a lot of damage coming up from Nyx Assassin, and you can always stun this Elder Titan if he's trying to stun you with the Spirit.
And I think this is the second time I've seen Infamous take Nyx. The first time being in the group stage against EG, which I think they lost that game. It was the one where they had Huskar.
Okay. The one thing with Infamous, I do question it, like, these two heroes individually both sound great for them. Magnus, you got the Empower for your Hector heroes, Nyx Assassin as far as easy carapaces, but most likely a 3-4. And I feel like Nyx Magnus is not really a good dual lane. Like, those are not heroes you typically expect to see laning together or playing around each other.
Yeah, that is the one thing about Infamous that's a little bit odd. They don't seem to pick a 3-4 synergy often. Instead, what they seem to do is they heavily prioritize on trying to gank mid and their safe lane. They're one of the teams that I feel like secures their safe lane the most for very obvious reasons. I mean, we've talked ad nauseum about how good Hector is. You know, put the game in the hands of your best player.
Yeah.
That is the best thing that you can do with these TIs.
Faceless Sweat is still in the pool if Newbie wants to grab it. That's a lot of damage they can throw into the Chronosphere. Elder Titan also lash on top of it, and you have a good hero to play around the RP, because if you initiate first on Mag, he can't get in. Like, he can't counter your team with an RP, and you can get on top of RP as well when they group up with the Chronosphere.
You can see the numbers there. Schofield, Nyx, his most played hero throughout TI9. Something that he's well known for. The Magnus as well, so there is some flexibility as far as which of these heroes is played in the 3 or the 4 position role. As now the second Sage of bans coming out. So Lifestealer banned out. At this point, Newbie, you got to know some kind of Empower carry is coming your way, and you want to just ban out some of the scarier looking ones. Lifestealer with the built-in Rage Magic immunity, very tough to play against for both Leshrac and ET.
surprised that SD wasn't taken by either team.
That has been like one of the most contested fives for sure.
Yeah, it's just so value. The disruption I feel like is just straight up one of the best 5-position spells that you can get, because it doesn't just act as a save. You can use it offensively. It's so unique and versatile in that regard. Plus your Purge, the slow going through BKB, makes you such a great anti-carry. I've seen so many situations where teams try to jump the 5-position SD, and he lives for way longer than he should. He gets his entire toolkit off. If he gets Soul Catcher off, that's one of the best burst spells in the game too. And I think there's even more value for the SD when you see Axe on the enemy
It
team.
just got banned before they picked the Axe, so I think they're hearing you, Will. They're like, okay, we want this Axe here, and what are they going to pick if we get Axe? SD would hard counter Axe as far as being able to save, having a save against Axe, because this Axe gives you a way to kind of preemptively counter whatever Hector's playing. He's playing some heavy physical damage core that doesn't want to get Blade Mail called by an Axe, theoretically.
Yeah, I actually really like that.
Yeah, with the Axe, you also have a BKB piercing ability, which is good at every stage of the game. And usually newbie saves this Axe for their last pick. And I guess they were afraid that it's not going to make it through the last banning stage.
Yeah. I'm sort of down to see Hector's hero right now, because I feel like you see your core matchup. You know that you're going to be against the Axe, but instead they take the Oracle, another type of save.
I don't think they're preparing for Wraith King, because there's not much synergy between Oracle and Wraith King, because he already has 2 lives, so I still think Phantom Assassin is a great pickup for them.
Even the Empower on the Wraith King is obviously fine. He'd get benefits from the Cleave, but he doesn't need the Cleave to farm. He's got the Skeleton, so he's not a hero that gets amplified by having Cleave the same way like a Phantom Assassin does.
Plus, you're going to get Radiance, so you already have a Flash Farm mechanic. You're going to go Midas Radiance oftentimes. I feel like it feels a little bit redundant.
Yeah. Any chance of just the classic Mag Jug as well?
The only thing is, I hate playing Jug against Axe. I feel like every phase of the game, it just hurts you. You're so easily killable. I don't know how good it feels like with Oracle as well. When you get low, you're naturally just going to pop your ult instead.
When you're playing any carry against the Axe, and if he's having a good early game, which means that he's going to get that good timing on a Blade Mail, it always feels bad.
Yeah. I like the idea of having a carry that can have kill threat on Axe, because you don't want to give Axe a free game in the laning stage. That to me is always where things will kind of spiral out of control, and the Jug at least brings that kill threat to the table.
And they take Shaman. They're continuing the trend of being very aggressive and running at the lanes. I feel like Infamous, what they really lack right now is wave clear or some way to push things out. They're going to go for the Wraith King anyways. I feel like this is one of those situations where it's because it's a Hector hero.
Yeah. It's not maybe about picking the best hero to fit in that draft and play with Magnus and the rest and the Oracle. It's just like, hey, this is Hector. This is Comfort Pick. This is his best hero he plays in Dota. Let's pick it.
I will say, I think even more so, they need wave clear. Like, when you have this kind of lineup, it's important that you have the ability to instantly push out lanes so that your Magnus doesn't feel super pressured. As a Mag, what you want to be able to do is just max out in power, but it does mean that you have very little team fight. Since you decided to go a 4-position Mag that gets 4 points in power, you have no levels of Shockwave, you have no ways to really kill around the map. You're going to highly just rely on your carry farming out the triangle, which means you need another hero to apply pressure around the map.
And if you compare the 2 lineups, Newbie's lineup can easily clear the creep waves, even the supports. Also, Shadow Shaman can be on the different side of the map using wards to put a pressure on the towers, just buy some time if early game doesn't go well for them.
I feel like Infamous actually needs like some sort of long-range poke. I'd even be okay with some sort of Ember or something like that, so that they can just like consistently hit back and forth, or a Storm. Something along those lines where you don't have to hard commit. You can just sort of roll through the wave.
I mean, the Ember idea is also another hero that benefits from Empower too, so you kind of get, 2 useful things out of it there.
Yeah, I'd like to see Ember or Storm personally.
And we do talk about them being 4 Protect 1, so as much as, we want to empower the Wraith King, he's just going to be off by himself. He doesn't need the Empower to necessarily farm, so getting another hero for your mid lane that can farm with it isn't a bad idea.
I think what you need right now on the side of Infamous is a way to delay the game, in case your laning phase doesn't go ideally, and I don't think that Infamous's heroes so far are ideal for the early game. Whereas I feel like Newbie's early game and their laning is going to be very strong.
Because you wanted Newbie to play fast and try and run over Infamous, not let Hector farm. Do you think they've kind of drafted towards that strategy?
Yeah, definitely. They have 2 supports who can rotate easily, and if Blitz gets his good timing on his items, they can easily snowball, even without seeing the last pick. But thinking about the last pick, it's a really good Slark game, because they don't have many counters for Slark at this point.
Have we seen much of UR playing Slark so far?
I've seen 2 games personally.
Okay. So something you can definitely play.
I mean, you can always fall back to Faceless Void, but there's a lot of save right now. There's a Wraith King with 2 lives.
Oh,
ooh,
that's a surprise.
Monkey picked into the last track. You're a bit of a mid player yourself, Blitz. I mean, normally you think Monkey against melee heroes. What's the idea here, picking it into the last track?
I think it's so you have a hero that doesn't get bursted and one that can make play has play potential around the other 2 side lanes. I think it might be a little bit greedy. I almost felt like they wanted some sort of hero like Storm because it has good poke too. I guess Monkey can function in a similar fashion.
I think because Wraith King doesn't need the Empower in this game, they needed another melee core that benefits from the Empower.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll see Newbie now. Last pick, they've got lots of reserve time to think about what their options might be. Almost certainly we'll see that CCNC mid last track. These NA mids have been loving last track this tournament, and they go for a Sven. Tried and tested. One of UR's classic heroes. Good Sven game?
Yeah, a lot of NA carries actually think that like Sven rips apart Wraith King. Although I've seen like twice now at this tournament it go the other way.
Depends how much kiting potential you have on actually both teams. How many saving abilities, how much support farms gonna get into that play, getting one of the 4 staff, maybe even a Glimmer Cape.
Yeah, it is Sven into 3 melee cores as well, so that's going to feel really good.
Yes, but Sven feels the best to play against when there are no saves on one team. Just because you want the ability, this hero is a burst physical damage hero. You want to be able to get in, kill somebody immediately, and then reset the fight so that it's 4-on-5 for your team.
Yeah, but the Oracle, there is a save.
Yes.
So maybe making life a bit more difficult. Okay, well, those are our 2 drafts here for game number 1. We're about to help ourselves into the draft and the game. Before we do so, we're going to hear some final thoughts on how these 2 teams match up from Nahaz.
This matchup features 2 of the best, in fact, the 2 best farming players at TI. Yawar and K1 Hector, the only 2 players averaging over 23K net worth at the 35-minute mark. Infamous, their laning phase has been the most aggressive at the tournament. Schofield's 4.4 assists per game at 12 minutes, the highest in the tournament. Whisper's 2.2 kills per game at 12 minutes, 3rd place behind Thompson and Sumail, and Chris Luck's 87 CS at 12 minutes, number 1, just barely ahead of Sumail. To relieve the pressure, Newbie's counting on Elder Titan. He is 17-4 before the 35-minute mark, only 17-20 in games that go longer than that. And Snaking's Axe is going to be key in this game, 7-1 over his last 8 games, 8.5 kills and 13.3 assists per game. An NA versus SA showdown with their TI9 lives on the line, brought to you by an NA casting duo. Here are Lyrical and Trent.
Thank you so much, Nahaz. NA casting duo indeed, but there's a lot of love in the world for South America. They've shown up big, and I think even the crowd is getting behind them a little bit.
Yeah, they're our boys too, right?
Yeah.
The whole Americas, we stick together. We gotta fight against, you know, Europe and China, these big, strong regions. So we stick together, right? We gotta hang out with our guys down there. So certainly a lot of respect, a lot of history with all of these players. We know them so well over the years from the region, and likewise, the same thing goes back and forth between them.
Absolutely. Well, and already into this game as Newbie facing off against Team Infamous, I gotta say that it's been really a revelation, I think, for a lot of people out there. And the panel talked it to death. Hector having an amazing year. I think that Newbie has looked revitalized as well. Both of these teams, I think, are coming in as a surprise, you know, potentially top 8 win. I don't know many people would have had them in their picks for that high of a placement early on.
No, certainly sounds pretty unlikely. Other than like the passionate fans, of course, right? You know, you got yourself a little bit of like that TNC flavor when it comes to Infamous, where they just have like an entire region sort of on their back. It feels like they have to carry from there, but nice and fresh here, right in the mid lane. Chris Lock, he's feeling pretty good.
Yeah, he's laying down those little sprays. You got to find ways to tilt your opponents, if at all possible.
Goes for a ward check too, and oh my, what have I found here?
Yeah,
it would appear there's an observer ward.
I'm not sure if they're going to quite realize where the placement is, but I think that they might have an inkling, yeah. And again, for anybody that's wondering, you can't get the extra vision. Chickens racing themselves back to the fountain. See who gets out on top. But Newbie going to pick up 2 of the bounty runes. Looks like Infamous also going to be able to pick up 2.
Yeah, so the reason he brings out the courier like that is so he can guarantee the instant change to the courier so he gets back as fast as possible for the body block here. And this chicken's putting in work.
Oh, yeah.
That is actually, the crowd are watching the same thing here. They're a little dismayed by the effort here by Chris Luck. And CCNC, oh, the big block, but now it's under the tower.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there for him. But yeah, Chris Luck, maybe a little bit of nerves on the big stage. Again, one of the earlier rounds for these teams. And obviously, the furthest that a South American team organization player is made in the International.
So the draft's moving along there, and I have to say, I was getting a little concerned for Infamous. I did like the last pick in the Monkey King. I felt like the Ember was maybe going to be the option there, but perhaps Chris Luck just feeling more comfortable. You can see he's spammed quite a bit of Monkey King in his pubs, and maybe just the matchup versus the Leshrac can have some issues for the Ember if things get out of hand. So they're going to rely on that instead. But it does a lot of the same stuff. It's got a very long initiation range for when you're playing from these 4 hero group ups to give all that space to Hector to farm. So Chris Luck going to be looking to abuse that in power and give all the space in the world for his carry.
Nicely done, man. He is just laughing. That's not even all chat. That's just to himself. He's enjoying the playing here on the big stage.
I wonder if his teammates have him muted.
Well, we do see down here bottom a tri-lane versus a dual lane coming from Newbie, trying to absorb that pressure that's being placed onto them, onto Snake King, and Snake King already in a little bit of trouble as the Impale is going to come out, looking to try and find the finish. Highlight Eye, seeing if he can interrupt it. In fact, he turns on the Stinger, gets the refresh on the damage from his Spirit. It's almost enough to dodge through, trying to hide away in the trees. The Juke coming through another round. Stinger still in trouble, and looks like Pi, the great Impale coming from Schofield. They draw first blood. Stinger still trying to run away, and is barely able to make the escape. Oh, Stinger, he did it.
Oh, an instant tip there from Whisper. He's like, I know you guys are still busy down there, so I'll handle the tip for you. Very well played. I mean, I appreciate what Pi did, right? Because he saw all those heroes, and he just says to himself, yo, I can get myself an easy kill. So much damage, but with the body blocks, with the juking the trees, those spells come back off cooldown. And big saves there from the tri-lane from Infamous.
Yeah, most definitely. So it is still always a little bit of a funky thing because it's not just, you know, what is going on in the tri-lane as far as kills, but it's also how much farm are you getting. And Wraith King already 9.
Mid lane.
He is full. Chase forward, regen rune available. Who's going to go for it? Dodges away from the stun, able to walk his way out, and now CCNC in a lot of trouble. Does get the salve off, needs one more touch. But even if he doesn't get the kill, that's CCNC out of lane for a while. And
I feel like they're both losers in that one, though, right? Salve canceled, regen rune canceled. It's like, oh, I'm glad we can just both agree to just stay where we are here.
True enough. But I did want to go back to what you were talking about there, the Ember as opposed to the Monkey King as a potential option. The thing that I do like about the Monkey King is that I feel like it has maybe a bit more burst potential if you can get those Jingu stacks up and possibly you know, throw out one of the Boundless Strikes, as you are is just going to take a couple pot shots underneath the tower, courtesy of Whisper.
Yeah, and the burst can be kind of nice in combination with the Nyx Assassin too, right? He might be able to just help scout out for the Monkey King, pops the Vendetta damage into the stun, into the Boundless Strike, and maybe a double tap from an Echo Saber or something after that from Chris Luck, and can burst a lot of heroes with that.
Well, meanwhile, Snake King going to take another Impale to the face. A lot of damage coming through. But Paladai able to be the one up in everybody's face, keeping Infamous back, putting too much pressure onto the off lane.
Yeah, stealing some of these last hits here too. Schofield forced to carapace that punch.
It's a fancy set he's got there. And now, moving back, Stinger, seeing if he can get some more pressure on. It's not an easy kill on the Axe, but it looks like they're kind of going for it again. The Stomp is going to interrupt it, and if nothing else, they're making Snake King's life difficult.
Yeah, still doing fairly well though. 15 last hits, and we haven't even talked about that top lane, but it's just been this 2v1 the entire time for Newbie. And they get a little bit of more harassed there on the Whisper. Gonna be tough to finish him unless, even with the Mango, it'll be close. MSS.
Getting up close and personal. Whisper there, you saw queued up the skewer, but canceled the animation afterwards, not wanting to go for it.
Snake King though.
Again, bottom. They're just bodying this guy, chasing him down. And Hector is taking a lot of damage from Pi, but no more mana, not another Spirit there for the Elder Titan, so he has to back out, and Hector's just going to salve up right in front of him.
Yeah, might have learned his lesson last time, right? of getting too aggressive. Now for the bounty runes, though, they're already aggressive on the bottom. You got Whisper in position here as he picked up his bottle from the shop, and he wants that refill.
Oh, and you got to be careful walking over here. You might get cliffed. MSS gonna play it safe, goes the other direction, and so far so good for Infamous, who it feels like are getting a nice little bit out of this laning stage, but need to be careful. Chris Luck in the mid, gonna take some of that Diabolic Edict, and CCNC thinking about diving for that.
Yeah, the wave's there though, so very unlikely you're gonna be able to find something.
Radiant are scanning.
And CCNC also just a little concerned because those supports are missing. So he's just wondering, are they wrapping around me right now? What's going on? Pilot Eye gonna come try and scout that out, but he will be spotted by an observer ward. And so Infamous do have information as to who could be helping in that mid lane. Oh, and his ward just got spotted too.
Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate. Still the battle rages down bottom. But yeah, that ward will be scouted out by the one up on the high ground. And immediately Stinger walking over. Let's see if he gets that D ward. Yeah, and he's going to drop it down. So given the damage over to Chris Luck, and CCNC looking to find a snipe, but not going to be able to get it there. As again, CCNC maybe in a little bit of trouble. The Boundless Strike, the Purifying Flames gets the kill. Have they gone in a bit too deep, Newbie, as they rotate in Schofield? Chris Luck, a lot of damage at this point as they're going to go for the jump forward, find the Impale, get themselves another round of kills. Man, Infamous are just cooking.
Yeah, hands kill over. Yeah, he did take the first one with the level 2 Purifying Flames, because that's what Oracle players do. But he can easily hand off Pilot Eye. Now Chris Luck even gets a regenerate, although he doesn't necessarily need it. Still very high in resources. He heads back to that mid lane. That did cost the rotation from MSS, who has to go and soak the mid lane before CCNC can make the return there.
Well, and call me crazy, but I feel like it was Infamous that has tended to be very comfortable in the late game, and they're winning the early game. I mean, obviously, this is a bit of a different situation. Newbie have a lot of heroes that are very effective at providing support in the late game, but already Schofield moves in. Yeah, just Mike Carapace steals some last hits.
That's one way to get back into this game, right? Like finding stacks, and you're down 4 kills, but you can find other ways of growing your economy via the last hits in the lane. As you can see, they are leading on the side of Newbie, or also through these stacks. But scouting and stabbing some of that XP can be very helpful for a Nyx assassin who wants all the XP he can get. And now Pilot Eye, well, I think you died here once before.
Uh-oh. Gotta be careful. So they jump forward again onto Pi. They have the Impale available, saving it as he's juking, but he's not going anywhere. They don't even need to throw the Impale.
No, I got the Orb of Venom. This guy just has a windlace, no boots, no real concern.
Man, this Monkey King has been a bit of a revelation so far.
All right, so what do you do when you're losing the kill battle like this? You just run to another...
Oh, gets him right on the edge! MSS also going to go down.
They are rotating to try and kill Whisper, though.
And finding the kill indeed. CCNC there to get it. Back and forth across the map. 6 kills for Infamous to the 1 of Newbie as they get on the board.
Yeah, good rotation. What will matter will be like the tower pressure too, though, but they're already rotating in the Nyx. He's at a resource on CCNC, so it's a kill, but it's not a big loss or anything there for Infamous, because when it comes to Hector, they of course want to sacrifice everything they can for all of these towers because of how efficiently he uses the jungle and how helpful it can be to have those towers to rotate if Newbie are indeed going to try and put pressure on this Wraith King.
Well, and that's one of the things that you really want to keep your eyes on is how quickly does that farm raise up for Mr. Hector, as he is going to be slept by Pilot Eye. But no real chance for a kill. Instead, the kill is going towards the mid lane where they have found one. Monkey King very low and is going to go down. CCNC picking up that kill.
So that'll be some killing spree XP handed over as well there for the recovery of CCNC. Now ahead of the Monkey King in terms of experience, thanks to that.
To level 8 for him. And Hector, in the meantime, has just been living down here bottom, and he's thinking about chasing, snaking into the trees.
Yeah, he's got this Observer Ward here, too, to help spot rotations in behind. And likewise, though, there are Observer Wards here from Newbie spotting out what Stinger's up to, so snaking using these for optimal positioning underneath this tower to try and stay safe and try and absorb as many resources as he can. Up top, though, nice Hex. Should be an easy follow-up here for CCNC.
Yeah, it's all too easy. Farming while getting kills, that's what you want to see out of the mid player. CCNC wouldn't work.
Meanwhile, not again.
Oh God, Pi.
This is not for you, my friend. Get out of there.
And they do manage to get the Jingu stacks up while also getting the kill.
Do not enter. And no Pies allowed.
Just gonna rotate bottom now. Yeah, Snaking needs to get the hell out of Dodge. Hector chasing in, see if he can find somebody, but nobody's home. And it's going to be the trade-off of the tower, CCNC taking top, while simultaneously Infamous and K1 Hector pressuring at bottom tier 1.
Yeah, same thing with the Bandits, right? Just another trade-off because of the force positionings from the tower pushes. Now you got Whisper. He has the point here saved too, and now he has a bottled haste room. So potential for a nice kill with the early RP, something that can tend to be a little difficult.
Oh, this looks like a nice little stack stolen away by Infamous. So clearing out the jungle and now going to jump on a Snake King who has been kind of closed down on this entire game. And another round of Impale. Schofield doing so much on this Nyx Assassin, and now he's also got level 6.
Yeah, I would say it's surprising he only has 2 deaths on the axe, considering the amount of pressure. He actually had a pretty good last hit there too, but still going to be a good target there. And needing a sleep from Pi. There's that haste.
Coming. He's coming for you, Pi. Just giving him the business all game long. And they have another round of Impales. Going to connect it, see if they can punch him down, skewer back underneath the cliff. And can they finish off this Elder Titan? Yes, indeed. Stinger's going to take that one.
Pilot is not exactly a stranger to this style of play. His name, of course, letting you know that for a fact. And he understands the mathematics, right? By far the lowest net worth in the team. He's half of that of the Oracle.
Ooh. This is kind of interesting here from Schofield. And could they make something happen?
Yeah,
they are
making
moving up.
Carapace play off this last creep, right?
See if he can find it. Carapace comes out. The Impale is going to connect, and the jump forward. Find the kill with the Primal Spring onto the Sven. Man, Infamous. They just know where Newbie's going to be. They're prepped.
Perfect. He's even keeping left a couple of big creeps there versus Monkey King.
And the thing that the panel talked about was, this is the way Infamous play. 4v5,
Yep.
They're winning fights while Hector just keeps farming.
They are the vanguard. They play up ahead. They are across the river. And you go, where's Hector? And you just kind of draw a line between Newbie, and then where are the 4 players playing, and then extrapolate further. Oh, there's Hector. Far away from anyone messing with his patterns. Spamming the skellies, and oh, everything respawns. Here I go again.
He's back, another round of it. Gonna be about halfway to that Radiance now at just 12 minutes with Empower. I mean, he was already
what
farming
Whisper's
fast.
doing. He's just walking left and right in the mid lane, empowering Chris Luck on the right. Go farm some camps. I got some stacks over there for you. I'll have up some ancients, Chris Luck. Don't mind. Oh, where's my Wraith King? Then he walks over, gives Hector the Empower too. One job for Whisper, and if he can keep spamming with the mid lane at the same time, you've got 3 cores farming excellently for Infamous.
And how did Newbie deal with this at this point? Because it does feel like they're getting their jungle invaded and they haven't really been able to respond.
Well, that's a good play, right? They do take the mid tower. That's going to help close out some of these areas, give some opportunities for ganks from the side of Newbie. And they're still waiting for Yawar to really get somewhere. He's close to the Echo Save, then he's going to be looking for a BKB after that. Their initiation will be reliant upon Snaking, who is not that close to the Blink Dagger, but he'll be working on it in that bottom lane.
If he can get into that item, obviously start to take some fights, and if you win those 4v5s, that's when things feel a lot better. But right now, CCNC, we go for the walk around, gonna get caught out. The Edict is there, and I think Chris Luck realizes it's time to let my support die.
Yeah, no potential save there from Chris Luck. He lets him go. But that Monkey King right below Hector, also very close to Yawar though, in terms of the net worth. He is a scary guy if he wants to start playing with Schofield. Schofield being spotted by that Observer in the top lane too though, so this is giving some freedom to Newbie right now, right? Where they can, as a Nyx Assassin, you're trying to play off map. You don't want to be seen, you want to be giving this threat of the Vendetta, and every time he walks past this ward, it's just like one more camp for a Newbie hero.
And you can see that Nyx Assassin just maxing out the Spike Carapace, knowing his job in this game, as it does look like Infamous again gonna play together, farm up camps. He's actually stacking right now Whisper, even the small camp, to give whatever extra farm he possibly can.
They're coming with a Sentry. They know that Schofield's coming in here.
This would be a nice pickup for them. Looks like they're just a little bit too late. He was going for the Courier Snipe there.
Yeah, that Observer Sentry combo that he's got as well, keeping him safe in that area. So now they've managed to get past the Nyx Assassin, but they run into the Skeletons, and that's going to protect Hector.
Need to go for the smoke up play if you want to try and find that Wraith King. But not simple in the least bit.
Schofield waiting for this courier. He's going to run out of Vendetta soon. He still hasn't spotted anyone else here.
Oh, this would be really nice if he could get it. I mean, he's going to go right by the ward. I think this is going to be a courier kill.
No, he's not going to have damage. He's lost it.
He lost the Vendetta. Okay. Well, 40 seconds, and that will be the end of it. But back towards the jungle. Snake King going to try and clear through these waves. And again, Newbie just kind of going AFK farming, but Infamous are farming faster.
They got the Yules here on Schofield.
Spike Carapace afterwards.
That was nice. Forcing the Carapace before the stomp.
Yes, and now Hector showing up and realizes, okay, can't do this. Gotta back out and give up the death of my Nyx Assassin another round.
Now we get two heroes being surrounded here by Snaking MSS, but they're able to waltz their way on out of there, perhaps because Chris Luck's just a little bit terrifying right now.
Well, you can see right now 61% into the favor of Infamous. Dota Plus feeling it, but the big thing to me is it just feels like Newbie haven't really made that many moves. If they do manage to take a fight, possibly you can make something happen, although Hector now has the Radiance.
Yeah, they've kind of gotten over that early hurdle that I was a bit concerned about for their lineup in terms of just like the wave clear being a little bit weak for Infamous. They've done a very good job of keeping the power spread from Whisper, which is certainly helping, right? They're both farming out camps and trying to push out these lanes, but you've got a support duo that can't clear waves. You got an offlaner in the Magnus that's a little bit vulnerable when he's going for that too. Especially with these longer initiation ranges of like the Axe, and then the Leshrac always going to have that Yule Scepter. Infamous playing extremely well so far. They only have a 1K lead right now, so it's nothing too serious. That should start to grow a little bit here with Hector. And now he's building into the Blade Mail by the looks of it, as well as finishing out his Magic Wand. So ready for combat soon.
Schofield's been playing this so well. Breaks the smoke onto Pile Die. They're going to be able to see that all the heroes up there. And God, are they going to try and take this fight? They have a DD onto Chris Luck. This could be an opportunity for them. Thinking about going in with the Wukong's command onto absolutely everybody. A lot of damage out. Schofield able to walk away and Snaking. Not so lucky. CCNC now out of mana and going to be out of life. It happened so quick.
Yeah, the double stack there too, right? They called and hexed the Oracle at the same time, so now you're essentially just missing out on one of your spells because of that. And you have to target on the Oracle because you go for someone else. Of course, the save's going to be there. But great follow-up there from Infamous. They got stuns, right?
Oh,
Wraith King stun, Nyx stun, Boundless Strike from the Monkey King, as well as that RP and Skewer when you need it. So you no shortage of control elements here from Infamous, and they know when their timing is. They know how to play around this Radiance. It is their playstyle, as BSJ pointed out.
Now, one of the best answers for Leshrac in the game, just pick up a Blade Mail for the Wraith King, giving them so much fight potential. Snake King does have that blink. He's got the ability to jump in, and maybe gonna look for Chris Luck here. And no, Hector, he's in the middle of him, actually breaking the blink dagger. They will kill off Stinger, but now, how do you deal with this big bad Wraith King? He just turns to fight, gonna pop the Blade Mail as well. You are already in that God Strength. He's killing them all off, still has the ultimate afterwards. Now Schofield into Vendetta does have the break potential if he wants to go for it, but the Hex is already out, and now the stun coming from UR, but the RP, it comes as well. Where's the follow-up? Do they have enough damage? It looks like the answer might be maybe, possibly. CCNC super low, and Chris Luck able to live through it all.
And Whisper coming in with the big RP save for the boys. Chris Luck and Hector getting out. Could possibly hand over a couple tips. I'm just saying, the guy got you out of a complete pickle there in the mid lane, and it's going to help secure that mid tower with the skeletons.
And again, it's less mattering that, you know, you lost a couple of heroes, the Magnus, the Nyx. The big thing, you took down UR. Like, in that fight, so key.
And his Midas is, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I see Pimp, same brain. I knew where he was going with that one. That one always hurts.
Well, 4,000 gold lead now after that fight mid for Infamous. And you can see here in the replay.
A beautiful Hex there too from MSS. He caught the Nyx coming in invis, and that boom! Whisper says, not my carry. Get off my guys. And turns a very dangerous situation into salvation for Infamous.
As we saw there, the Culling Blade from Snake King able to save a little bit, because it looked like if he didn't finish off that kill onto the Mag, they would have lost pretty much everything. But still, Newbie looking a little bit shook here 19 minutes into the game with Infamous. Pretty
they're getting back on the horse, though. They got a couple heroes up top here, right? You got Snake King and you are playing together. That 20-minute bounty room coming up soon. Perhaps a battle up here, and then you get this question of Hector in terms of his availability. Currently, his TP is ready. Will that be the case? It seems like he's like, you know what, guys? I am ready to fight. You can be graced with my presence. I won't TP from camp to camp. I can actually join you. Royalty, it comes down from the tower every once in a while.
Schofield down on the low grounds. Who does he spot? He can break blink daggers if he so desires, or if you're Infamous, they jump in. Able to find him. They saw him the whole time. Chris Luck pops the BKB, still sticking around the Impale, comes through, onto 2, and now the Wukong's command. They're all stuck at the trees. They get pulled back in by Whisper, even further inside. They do drop down the Serpent Wards, but is it going to be enough? Oh my god, that was a lot of damage. And now they caught Chris Luck, but now Hector's here. Is he going to be able to make the play? They have the false promise to keep the Monkey King alive for the moment, still taking a ton of damage, and Hector turning on the Snake King, trying to kill him off. They will be able to run him down one by one. Infamous do it.
I'll help my weak and puny allies, as those Wraith King players do.
And unreal that Monkey King was able to live. He came out on like 400, 500 HP.
Yeah, I thought he was gone for sure. The Snakes just kept on pelting him the entire time during the false promise. But Hector just strolls his way from the mid lane with some swagger. Gets them another tier 1 now for Infamous. All the way up to a 7K lead at the moment, and we still have Roche to consider.
7,000 net worth lead right now for Infamous.
When he shows up so late to the fight like this and you're still losing, that's a very bad sign for Newbie. Good positioning there, of course, from the Oracle, right? He's not getting targeted early on this time. Chris Luck perfectly done with the Boundless Strike too. That bonus damage from Whisper.
I mean, we're talking about Hector making all these plays, but it's the rest of Infamous too that are making the saves. They're, you know, last second there, Stinger almost getting controlled before he was able to get that false promise out.
I mean, Hector's just walking in here when everything's on cooldown, right? Like,
yeah.
You know, this is what they do. They know how to play around it.
Unreal. And you can see he's feeling pretty good about himself right now. There's tension in the booth right this moment for Newbie. Schofield, will he be able to get CC&C?
This is a very difficult game to try and turn. It's by no means over because they have all this wombo combo. They have the big plays coming in the late game. Of course, that's where Snake King tends to shine. Is making those decisions, getting those big pickoffs for his squad, but it's a sizable advantage at this point for Infamous. There's no doubt about that.
Definitely has that feeling right now. And like you said, Newbie, they've made a lot of comebacks in this tournament. Multiple Mega Creep comebacks for them, and we're not even close to that stage yet. They still got tier 2 towers up and online.
They have very good heroes for the pit too, which tends to be what we start revolving our game around past the 20-minute mark, right? It's just like, can someone get an edge? Are they going into Roche? As he takes a swat at a Monkey King who flies by, almost got him. But you got the Elder Titan, you got the Leshrac with the AoE stun, you got the Axe, the Sven, everything for the Roche fight. But likewise, you can just count as many spells inside of Infamous that are very good there too.
You can see here as well the soldiers being left behind as Monkey King has picked up that Agnum Scepter after the BKB.
Yeah. So wave clear is still a thing that was identified in the Infamous lineup as being a slight hope, right?
They're just going high ground.
Yeah, and that's what the question is going to be. Is if you can defend high ground right here from Newbie, you might get back into this game just by virtue of, like, okay, we pushed them off and the other 2 lanes are pushing in our favor. They've dropped the snakes down bottom.
Dude, they didn't even take rush. They're just going up here. They're like, screw it, guys. We're going and taking your buildings. Newbie, what's the response? They take a tier 1 tower, but it doesn't feel like they have an answer for this. Early pressure be damned.
Oh, you are. He can't TP either. Schofield's chasing them in the bottom lane. That's the issue.
And they are not going to be able to come back and deal with this, so the chase forward possibly for more. TP's coming in now. Infamous, you got to be careful. Can't step too far forward. Call while simultaneously hitting on the stomp. But the Blade Mail doing a lot of damage back onto CC&C, almost taking him down. Chris Luck going to be healed back up by that ulti, and now turn on to MSS. They find themselves another. MSS goes down, and Infamous just going to jaunt their way out of here.
They're going to try and cut them off here. 2 TPs to the shrine.
But the Wukong's command. Chris Luck pump faking it. CC&C, he gets the Yule Scepter lift up. They can't TP out now. They have to fight. Infamous, is this going to work for them? They have the Wukong's command out. CC&C is dying. He's done. He does have buyback. Might need to use it because Yulmar is dead too. He doesn't have buyback for a minute. Oh my god, the triple kill from Hector, and now Chris Luck looking for more. They're going to force this buyback and feeling like it's their moment. They get the RP. They find the follow-up kill onto Snake King. If they can manage to get it, does he manage to get away? Still running. He does escape. Now the stomp coming in. Chris Luck, Boundless Strike, trying to live, and he does. Takes down Snake King, 88 seconds dead. And then now Infamous, they're pulling in with the rest of the heroes. They know he doesn't have buyback.
Man, Whisper, this guy. I mean, we talk about the Oracle being the same. I think it's Whisper this game. Always looking out for the big number 1 and number 2. He's a distant third. He's a third of the net worth of the Wraith King in this game. But he's doing everything he can to keep them up.
Whisper keeping the hopes of Infamous alive and well in this elimination match. The sole representative from Bolivia in this tournament.
Man, can you believe that this Hector guy's really good at Wraith King? I mean, I did not think they'd be playing Wraith King. I really didn't. I thought, like, once the first phase they didn't take it, I was like, okay, well, that seems like a pretty likely ban. You know, the guy seems all right, but I think they went for the know your enemy play, right?
Oh my God.
They went for this idea of, okay, we know how Hector plays. They're not idiots, right? They understand what the guy's trying to do. They didn't really pick any mana burn to maybe try and make that an issue pre-20 minutes if they got into a fight. And they just did knock it out of the lanes in a state where they could abuse the fact that they had the Shadow Shaman wards, they had the Edicts. I think they were trying to go for this like early game push and take away a lot of that farm space from Hector. It didn't happen. And then you had Chris Luck empowered, he's farming camps. You had Hector empowered, he's doing the same thing. And Whisper's just shoving out the mid lane and farming there as much as he can with the shockwave. So Infamous, they just do it again.
Infamous showing up on the big stage. This team is no joke, ladies and gents. You got to plan for them, prepare for them, and even then, they might still beat you. Let's head on back to the panel, hear what they thought about that game number 1.
South America's finest have shown us a great form. If you were in any doubt whatsoever that they had what it takes to make the top 8, I think those doubts may have been expunged by now. Gents, that was an impressive performance and a kind of mentally breaking performance as well for Newbie. We didn't get a chance to talk about it before game, but you know, we wondered, didn't we? We talked about it in the green room. Could Newbie bounce back from that crushing defeat against OG, or could they put it out of their mind? That's a tough loss.
That's a real tough loss. I mean, that was pretty much what I saw, at least. 2 players from Infamous just dismantled all of Newbie, right? We saw Chris Luck and Schofield just running around the map and killing everyone, while Hector just does exactly what Brian was mentioning pretty much the entire time on the panel. TPing and farming as much as possible, and then they just took over the whole map. It was really painful to watch if you're a Newbie supporter.
Yeah, how did it bounce back after that?
I don't know if they do. I mean, the obvious answer is ban the Wraith King.
Right.
You know, he's getting this hero that we've seen in the group stage that he is remarkable on. As you said yourself, Samael, the top pros in the game are looking at Hector, obviously for reasons other than the hero, but a large part of it is the games that he's on Wraith King.
Right.
It's remarkable, and he's got to be one of the best Wraith Kings in the world right now.
What I love about Dota is we've seen other teams try Wraith King, and it doesn't feel like most of them have
the
very much
obvious
success.
answer is ban the Wraith King.
I think
he's getting this hero that we've seen in the group stage that he is remarkable on. As you said yourself, Samael, the top pros in the game are looking at Hector, obviously for reasons other than the hero, but a large part of it is the games that he's on Wraith
with this
King.
hero. It's not just Hector.
It's
I'm not saying
remarkable.
Hector can only play Wraith King.
He's got to be one of the best Wraith Kings in the world.
The team is based around the way that this carry hero plays. Is we've seen other teams try Wraith King, and it doesn't feel like most of them have very much success.
The obvious answer is ban the Wraith King.
I think
he's getting this hero that we've seen in the group stage that he is remarkable on. As you said yourself, Samael, the top pros in the game are looking at Hector, obviously for reasons other than the hero, but a large part of it is the games that he's on Wraith. It's remarkable. He's got to be one of the best Wraith Kings in the world.
What I love about Dota is we've seen other teams try Wraith King, and it doesn't feel like most of them have
the obvious answer is ban the Wraith King.
I think
he's getting this hero that we've seen in the group stage that he is remarkable on. As you said yourself, Samael, the top pros in the game are looking at Hector, obviously for reasons other than